Well, it is 3:30 here on the East Coast, half past the hour. We're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone, and thank you so much for sharing part of your day with us. My name is Christine Tomasic, and I am the Managing Director of the EdTech Evidence Exchange project. I'd like to start today by sharing the objectives for our time together. After a brief introduction to the EdTech Evidence Exchange, I'll introduce a framework of context variables that influence the success of EdTech implementation. Then I'll share a few different tools we use to collect and document EdTech implementation contexts and experiences. Finally, I'll share examples of what you can learn from data we can help you collect and how you and your organization can benefit from the insights. And finally, why you should partner with us. I'm joined on the webinar today by my colleagues Amber Fowler and Naomi Kahn. This webinar would not be possible without their efforts. Both Amber and Naomi will be active in the chat and in the Q&A, so please feel free to use either to ask all of your questions. So, about us, the EdTech Evidence Exchange. If you start at the far left, you'll see that the EdTech Evidence Exchange, or the Exchange for short, is a research-based project that is in Innovate EDU's portfolio of projects. The Exchange works closely with the University of Virginia School of Education and Human Development. We provide our partners with evidence that will help them better select and implement EdTech. We do this by collecting data around context features that are most likely to influence EdTech implementation success. Currently, we're focused on collecting data related to the selection and implementation experiences with math technologies, and documenting the contexts where those math tools are used. Right now, many EdTech decisions are made without the benefit of evidence about the school or district's implementation context, even though these features are knowable. Through our partnerships, we help educators access this information and use it to make evidence-informed decisions. So, bottom line, we bring the lens of implementation context to the EdTech conversation. The Exchange started by wanting to know what those features that influence the implementation context are. So we spent our first few years researching what features most influence the success of technology use. We called our research the EdTech Genome Project and released a report to detail our research efforts of how we identified the 10 context features or variables you see here in the wheel. You can scan the QR code on the slide, or you can access the report via the link that will be arriving in the chat. A quick summary: our steering committee and working groups of over 140 educators, experts, and researchers helped us identify 10 variables most likely to influence EdTech implementation. We also engaged over 2,000 educators in iterative rounds of feedback about the variables, their definitions, and the survey tools to measure each variable. We know there are more context features than what is shown in the wheel, but these 10 form a pretty comprehensive context profile. We imagine these 10 features will not surprise you. They are features that often figure prominently in education initiatives. We formed a working group around each variable, and those working groups drafted a short definition, a long definition, and a draft measurement instrument aligned with their variable. We took the draft measurement instruments and, with consultation from a measurement council, worked through iterative revisions such that the 10 instruments come together and make a cohesive set. We refer to those 10 instruments together as the EdTech Context Framework. This slide shows an example of the definitions for one variable, competing priorities. We have a short, several sentence definition and a long definition. Most of the definitions are between 1 and 2 pages long. And here are sample items or questions from the competing priorities instrument. We released the definitions and the sample items about 2 years ago. This past spring, our UVA research team published an article in Computers in Education about the validation work done to date on the context inventory. It has been validated. It's gone through an exploratory factor analysis and a confirmatory factor analysis. A link to the article preview will be dropped in the chat. I wanted to share this bit of background about our work to give you a sense of who we are and how we arrived here. Now, let's turn our attention to the data. We use the EdTech Evidence Exchange platform, or the Exchange platform for short, to efficiently collect, analyze, and display data on educators' implementation contexts and experiences. A key feature of the Exchange platform is automatic data display, so these insights are accessible immediately to our partners. The Exchange platform uses 2 surveys to capture educator data. The first survey is a context inventory, the one that I said, has gone through the validation process. That's the one we also developed through the EdTech Genome Project. The questions in this survey document the 10 identified variables you saw in the wheel. And the questions asked in the survey are not specific to any one technology or subject area. The data from this survey can be used to match educators working in similar school and district contexts so they can learn from one another's experiences. The second survey documents implementation experiences with a specific EdTech tool. This survey does ask educators to identify a particular math technology they use for instruction, or a math technology they helped select if they are a decision maker. Educators answer a combination of closed and free response questions about their selection and implementation experiences. This slide shows the Exchange platform user journey. When you partner with us, all educators in the partnership create an account. Next, they complete a context inventory. It takes about 20 minutes to complete that survey. And finally, math educators, or people who make decisions about math technology, complete an implementation survey. You'll notice that upon completion of each survey, educators instantly receive a $20 e-gift card. They can use that e-gift card in anywhere from Amazon to Walmart. You've got lots of different choices on where you want that e-gift card to be valid. After collecting the data, the Exchange platform analyzes and automatically displays actionable data in reports. The context inventory data is displayed as a context report, and the implementation survey data is displayed as an implementation report. There's no waiting on the researchers to access the evidence, again, as the platform automatically aggregates and displays the data. I also want to let you know that all of the data are anonymous and confidential. No names of educators or any district or division names are ever associated with the data. And lastly, we do not collect any student data. What you are viewing now are screenshots of a sample context report. Again, that context report summarizes the 10 key features that you saw in the wheel. The platform averages together the responses from everyone who completes the survey in your district and displays the data in aggregate. If you partner with us to collect data, you'll get access to your division's context report. This slide shows screenshots from a sample implementation report. The implementation report is an infographic style report with feedback on a specific math technology. The platform aggregates responses from every educator who reports on a specific technology in your district. If you partner with us to collect data, you'll get access to your division's implementation reports. These two surveys capture a lot of data. Our current partners can certainly vouch for that. And next, I will walk you through types of data we collect and a few examples of how you might use the data to inform your decision-making. So, at a high level, the data provided in the context report for your district will provide insights about the presence and quality of each variable. As you interpret this data, it will provide evidence you can use to inform systems level improvements based on the findings. The top of this image, again, shows those 10 variables. Let's zero in on the infrastructure and operations variable first. In this example of the infrastructure and operations variable, the darker orange bars indicate that educators responded more positively about those components of their district's infrastructure and operations. These data suggest that the district provides for both remote and school access to devices and internet connectivity. However, the data also suggests that the district does not provide any form of remote support to ensure that students are actually able to take advantage of their access. Likely, students whose families are less technologically savvy or less available to help them will be at a disadvantage. This identifies a targeted area for systems improvement. You can review any of the 10 variables to help identify your district's strengths and opportunities for growth. I will use the teacher beliefs and knowledge variable as the next example. These data illustrate that teachers feel positive about technology and the ways in which it has the potential to support student learning, but they don't feel confident in their knowledge of how to use technology or effectively integrate it into instruction. Teachers' positivity and likely willingness to champion technology is a strength for a district or a division or a state to leverage. And these data indicate that students would likely benefit if the district, state, or division began explicitly supporting integration strategies. Let's shift now to the implementation reports and what insights you can glean from them. By accessing implementation reports, you can better understand the math technologies educators are using and learn which technologies educators perceive to be most successful with students. These data from this implementation report illustrate that teachers feel somewhat neutral about the success of iReady. This teacher feels slightly more positive about iReady related to instruction compared to its impact on student outcomes. This snapshot of the implementation report shows you data from educators who have used another tool, Step Up Math, and their level of satisfaction with using the tool in their classroom, in their school, and in their district. It also shows how the teachers think students feel about the technology. The data indicates that this teacher focuses on the assessment aspect of the tool and doesn't integrate the technology into her actual instruction. This may let you know that the district will need to offer professional learning around the use of this particular tool so that teachers can effectively use all components of the tool to meet students' learning needs. You will see these data in aggregate, showing multiple educators' responses to the same question about the same tool. Another use case for the implementation survey data is shown with this snapshot. This part of the report averages together the experiences of all educators in one district who reported on the same tool. The display on the right shows how frequently educators reported using this tool for different activity types. We know that students experiencing poverty are more likely to use technology for rote, drill, and practice activities. But only 20% of the educators identified using the tool for this type of activity. 90% of educators reported using the tool for somewhat higher level activities that ask students to consider, interpret, apply, or create with the math technology. And in case you're doing the math here, educators can pick more than one activity, so it does add up to more than 100%. We do see in this snapshot, 30% of educators report using this tool specifically for students performing below grade level. It would be valuable for a district to dig into more how educators are using the tool with various student groups. So, do you want to surface EdTech insights for your state, your division, or your district? Hopefully, you're nodding your head. Partnering with us to get access to this data is easy. As you see here, there are kind of three big picture steps. First, we would work with you to get a list of teachers and leaders who make implementation and selection decisions about math technology. Then we would send educators to the platform, to the Exchange platform. They would create an account. They would take the 2 surveys. And in step 3, the data from your educators would be presented to you in aggregate reports that you can then use in the decision-making processes that you have about technology. So, if you say yes to collecting data with us now, in a few short months, you will have actionable insights. You might learn that educators feel positive about the equitable use of technology for students and teachers. You might learn that most educators are not regularly involved with decisions related to which technology is purchased. You might also learn that teachers have positive beliefs about the value of technology and their ability to integrate technology into instruction. I'm going to pause now. We still have a good amount of time, and I've talked at you for quite a bit. So I'd like to open it up to questions, and I'm going to ask my colleagues Amber and Naomi to help surface any questions that have come up, and I'd be happy to engage on those questions. Ladies?
The question is math the focus or do you do other EdTech tools?
Great question. In the future, we will be collecting data on tools outside of the math content. But right now, our data collection is focused on math tools. We just had to start somewhere, and the research base is robust about the efficacious nature of math ed tech tools to make a difference for student learning. So that's where we started. I will say that we do have goals to start adding additional content areas very soon as we continue to develop the infrastructure to support that data collection. If you have a specific content that you're interested in, when you fill out the Google form, please make note of that. It will help inform which content area we build out next. I do hope that what you've learned today inspires you to want to partner with us. I know that working together, we can unlock insights and support better math outcomes for your students. Please fill out our Google form, and either Amber or I will reach out to get the data collection ball rolling in your state, in your district, in your division, within your organization. The link to that Google form will be appearing in the chat. I want to thank you so much again for sharing your most precious resource with us today, your time. We do look forward to partnering and supporting your effective and equitable EdTech decisions. And I'm happy to give you back 8 minutes in your day from our 30 minutes that we had scheduled for our time together. Thank you again for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your Wednesday.